The exercise files for today's course are located in the video description below. Don't forget to like and subscribe.
Hi everyone, my name is Trish Connor-Cato. This course is for any user who has prior Tableau experience. With so many competing technologies, Tableau has emerged as a powerful favorite in the world of business intelligence solutions. This course will take your Tableau skills to the next level by teaching you best practices along with the most sought-after dashboard designs. You're about to embark upon an intense but amusing journey that will provide you with an arsenal of innovative techniques. Your new tool set will help you reuse your current Tableau worksheets and to create new ones for the purpose of including those worksheets on dashboards that you will be proud to share. Users will enjoy interacting with your dashboards for the purpose of getting deep analytical information from them, and they will be impressed with their flexibility. Most important, the class will overview various business scenarios that translate into different types of dashboards, and you will leave with that understanding. By the end of the course, you should be able to create effective dashboards on your own, and you will also walk away with class files that help you get a head start. In each module, we'll work with a specific data set and build visualizations to be used on our dashboards. In the 7th module, we'll be using the FIFA 19 player rank dataset. We'll learn how to create parameter-based calculations before covering graphs and tooltips. We'll learn about folders and work with floating items on our dashboard. Module 8 will see us using a 120-year Olympics dataset. We'll learn about top X items and rank graph before sorting through parameters and showing and hiding filters on a dashboard.
Looking to support our channel and get a great deal? Become a member today to unlock ad-free videos. That's right, your favorite courses without a single ad. Interested in a specific video? Purchase one of our ad-free courses individually. Looking for even more? Gain access to exams, certificates, and exclusive content at LearnitAnytime.com. More information can be found in the video description below.
In Module 7, we'll be analyzing the FIFA 19 player rank dataset by creating parameter-based calculations, graphs and tooltips, folders, and floating items in dashboards. So we're going to start this module in our folder where you've placed the files for the video description, and I'm in the FIFA 19 player rankings folder. And so the file that we're going to use that has our data is that comma-separated Excel file named KL. The rest of these files are image files, and we need to copy them into our Tableau repository, My Shapes folder. So I'm going to just select all of the files and uncheck the KL file, and then I'm going to move them over to My Shapes. And I copied them because I want to keep all the files that we're using for every module in their original folders. So once we do that, we can switch back to Tableau. And now let's go ahead and go to text file, navigate to your FIFA folder, and grab the KL file to get the data in Tableau. So we're going to do a little bit of cleaning of this data right here on the data grid. The first column doesn't even have a name. It's just called F1. And that is like a row count column. So we're going to hide that column. We don't need to use it for anything. And the second thing is we want to find the column called joined. And we want to add a filter to that joined column to get rid of some nulls that it has in it. We're also going to filter another column called preferred foot for the same reason. So I'm going to go up to filters and add, and I'm going to add joined first. and it's going to be a year filter. And then I'm going to exclude the null values. And then I'm going to add the preferred foot filter and do the same, exclude the null values. And now we're good to go, and we could go to our first sheet. So we've used parameters and their calculations earlier in this course, but we're going to be creating a parameter-based calculations now to start this module. So the first thing we're going to do is, so we don't have to do them individually, we're going to do some formatting on this sheet, and then we'll be able to copy it for the most part, you know, kind of like we've been doing with dashboards, to have kind of a blank template of sorts with the formatting on it. So what we're going to do is we're going to go to Format, and we'll start with Shading. And for the worksheet, we're going to do the last gray one in the second column. And this one, so that's the shading we want there. Then we're going to go up to the font icon. And for the font on the worksheet, we're going to change it to 10 point. I'm going to make it orange and bold, but you can choose whatever color you want or leave it black. And for the title, I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to make it bold and orange. And then we can close Format. Now what we want to do is we want to copy this sheet so we have that blank template waiting for us, and go back to the original sheet 1, and we'll get started with this visualization. So the first thing we're going to do, and in this data type, it has a lot of things. There's a lot of abbreviated football stats. I'm not a soccer person, so I may say something wrong at some point, but I think we'll be okay. It also has body type, the club logo. If I go back to data source view, I'll show you this, because they have the club logo and they also have a player's photo logo, but these links don't work. They're not like active links. So we have a bunch of information here, including the flag, the height, jersey number when they joined the club, which club they were loaned from, their name, nationality, position, preferred foot, all kinds of information. And then they have a whole bunch of measures, which are measuring football related things like dribbling. So anyway, for this first one, we're going to drag name to the filter shelf. And we have a lot of names in here. So as you look at the bottom, there's like over 15,000 values in the name column. And so what we're going to do is we're going to filter for the top 15 players based on their international reputation. So we're going to go to the top tab, select the option button in front of by field. We're going to change our 10 to 15. And underneath that, where it says acceleration, we're going to choose international reputation. And we're going to click OK. And now we are going to drag the name field to rows. So you're seeing the top 15 by name. And I literally have to get rid of that row banding. So I'm going to just go back to Format, Shading, and I'm going to say None to row banding for both the pane and the header. And we can close format again. And now we're going to create the first of two parameters. So I'm going to go to the drop down at the top of the data pane and create a parameter. And this parameter, we're going to name it select row heading. We want a data type of string. And the allowable values is going to be a list. And we're going to click to add. And the first value is nationality. And the second one is preferred foot. And we can click OK at the bottom. And then we're going to immediately create our second parameter. And this one is going to be named select column heading. It's also going to have a string data type. And we're going to have a list. And the list is going to have as the first value height. The second one is weight. And the last one is body type. And we're going to click OK. So now we're going to create a calculated field, two of them that refer to our parameters. And we're going to be using the case function, which is similar to an if then else if end structure. So we're going to go ahead and create the first calculated field. And this calculated field is going to be called row category. And we're going to go ahead and grab the case function. And we're going to reference our parameter here. So it's going to be select row heading. And then we're going to press enter. We're going to select the when function. And in single quotes, we're going to type nationality. Then we're going to grab the then function and grab the nationality field. Enter. We're going to do when again. And this time, preferred foot is in single quotes. Then the preferred foot field. Enter. We're going to add an else statement. And we're just going to do two single quotes. And then enter. And we have to type an end statement. So what this is saying is when a user selects nationality in the select row heading parameter, then it's going to display the nationality field. When they select preferred foot, then it will display the preferred foot field, or else won't display anything. So that's what we have there. Now, we're going to go ahead and click OK on this one. So we have that row category, and we're going to right click and copy it. And then right click anywhere and paste. So it'll be less typing for us. So on the row category 1, we're going to right click and edit it. And we're going to name it to column category and get rid of the 1 at the end of the name. In the case statement, you can double click select row heading, type select, and grab column heading there. In the first when statement, you can double click nationality. It leaves the single quotes. And we're going to type height. and then double click the nationality field, start typing height, and grab the height field. The next one, we're going to select preferred foot and leave the single quotes. And we're going to type weight and then swap out the preferred foot field for the weight field. Now, after weight, you're going to press enter because we have to do another when then line for this one. So we're going to grab our when function, single quote, and this one is going to be body type. Then go ahead and grab the body type field. And we can go ahead and click OK. So it saved us a little bit of typing from having to start from scratch. So we have our row and column category fields and our select row heading and select column heading parameters. Right click on your select row heading parameter and show the parameter, and do the same for the column heading parameter. And this would be a good time to save our file, and I'm just going to name it FIFA. Now we're going to drag row category to rows to the right of name, and we're going to drag column category to columns. Let's drag nationality to color on the marks card. So you'll see that we get our color legend, of course, on the right. And we're going to go down and find the international reputation measure. And we want that measure, we're going to drag it to detail on the marks card. And then we're going to change it from sum to max. So I'm going to right click on it, hover over measure, and choose maximum. And I think I want to make the worksheets a little bit lighter. So I'm going to just go to format and go to shading again. And for the worksheet, I'm going to choose the one above the one that we selected earlier. It's a little bit lighter. And I can see it a little bit more clearly. Now, since we had already copied the sheet, I'm going to go to the copy and do the same thing so I don't forget about it when we start building that sheet. And then I'm going to go back to sheet 1 and close the format pane. I'm going to go ahead and hide the field labels for columns and for rows. And if you'd like, you can go ahead and change your nationality colors. I'm going to leave them the way they are on mine for now. And we're going to go ahead and name this sheet Top 15 Players by International, and I'm abbreviating that, Reputation. And it's going to be called at the end interactive. I'll do a dash and then interactive. And so now we can test our parameters. So if I go to the drop down for select row heading and choose preferred foot, you'll see that it changed it from nationality to preferred foot. And then if I go to, I'm going to change it back to nationality, and I'm going to go to select column heading, and I'm going to do body type. So we can see by the columns that there's lean, normal, and stocky body types. So our parameters seem to be working well. And we can go ahead and save. So you'll see on this one, several of the players have multiple nationalities. And you'll notice the nationalities are countries, right? So that means that they've played on different countries' teams. And over time, their body type has changed. So that's what that's showing right now on this one. let's go ahead and go to our next blank sheet, and let's make a copy of it, just so we'll have another copy there. And then go back to the first copy. And let's name this sheet. I'm going to use the hashtag for number of players by country. So let's look in our data pane, and the nationality field is a text field. And because it contains countries, we want to assign it a geographic role, and then we could use it on a map. So I'm going to right click on it, hover over geographic role, and I'm going to give it the geographic role of country region. So it just has the globe icon instead of ABC in front of it now. And I'm going to just drag it. I'm not going to drop it in the mark shelf or in columns or rows. I'm going to just drag it and drop it into the view. And it automatically gives me a symbol map. Now, of course, in the bottom, you'll notice we have 6 unknown. Let's click on that. And let's first look at edit locations. So we have some that are unrecognized. We don't have any data for these locations. So we're going to click OK. We're going to click on 6 unknown again and filter the data so it does it for us automatically, excluding those unrecognized countries. Now we're going to create a calculated field because we want to get the count of names. And we're going to name it count of names. And the calculation is really simple. It's just going to be count and then the name field. And we're going to click OK. We're going to grab that measure and we're going to add it to detail. And I'm going to copy it from the marks card by holding down Control, and I'm going to drag it to color. And then let's go to Show Me, and we can have a filled map now. So let's do that selection. And now it's a filled map versus a symbol map. In the marks card, let's change the mark from automatic to density so we make it into a density map. For something like this, density might be best. When we hover over any of the density marks in the tooltip, we're just seeing the nationality and the count of names. And we want to make the tooltip a little bit better. So let's click on tooltip in the marks card. And instead of the label nationality, we're going to change it, the label to country. The name of the field is nationality. For the count of names label, and I'm keeping the colons there, I'm going to change it to hashtag of players. And then I'm going to select country, the label, and the field. I'm going to make it 11 point, bold, and you know what color I'm going to choose, and click OK. So now when I hover, it's a little bit more prominent. Let's go to map and add a background map. You can pick which one you want to add. I'm going to go with my satellite. I'm going to go to color and change my color to density. Let's see, which one do I want? I want a density one. So I'm going to choose density orange light. And I'm going to make it more intense. And then I'm going to go back to the map menu. and choose background layers, what I'd like to see are the country region borders and names, as well as water labels. So remember, with the water labels, you kind of have to zoom in on the map and then you'll start seeing the bodies of water labels. And we can go ahead and save. So if you look down at my sheet tabs, I have a total of 4 copies of that blank sheet template that we're using. And I just named them copy 1 through 4. It just makes it easier for me to know which one to navigate to, because sometimes when you keep copying the same one, the name gets like kind of funky at the end. So I'm going to go to copy 1, and we are going to drag the measure names field to filters, and we're going to select none. There are only 3 measures that we're interested in, so do a check in front of ball control, and then the next one is going to be shot power and then strength, and click OK, and we're not going to show that filter. Now what we're going to do is we're going to drag the body type field to columns, and we're also going to drag measure names to columns after body type. And we just need to drag measure values field to rows. Now we want to use the same filter that we used on the first sheet, the top 15 players by international reputation filter. So instead of creating it all over again, we're going to just do a global filter. Let's go to that first sheet, the top 15 player sheet, right click on the filter, apply to worksheets, selected worksheets, and we're going to check copy 1. Now notice the other 3 copies are dimmed out. We can't get to them because they're blank sheets. Once you have something on them, you can add a global filter to them as well. We're going to click OK and go back to copy 1. And we see we have that name filter there. And it has the corresponding sheets symbol in front of it. So now on the marks card, we're going to change our marks from automatic to shape. And then we're going to drag measure names to shape on the marks card. And then we're going to click on shape. Now, mine came up automatically with the new shapes that we put into my shape, but go ahead and click on shape. And you want to go on the right to default drop down and choose my shapes. And so I use the soccer ball for ball control. I use the person kicking the ball for shot power. And then the last one for strength, I put the strong arm, which is the last one. You can kind of barely see it there. And then I did OK. And so I have those icons instead of the built-in shapes. So in a situation like this, if you look at the y-axis, right, the values range from 0 to 3,200. There's such a gap, right? This is the highest value out of the measures, and these are the lowest values out of the measure. So when I hover over the lowest one, it's 447. So I don't want the axis to start at 0. I want it to start at, I'll say 420 or something like that. Or I'll just have it start at 400. So we're going to right click on that axis and go to edit the axis. And under range, I'm going to do the option button in front of fixed. And I'm going to change the start to 400. And also at the bottom, I'm going to delete value out of the title box, and then I can close that. So the axis just makes more sense compared to the data that's showing there. Now we're going to name copy 1, and it's going to be strength, comma, shot power, and ball control by body type. And we can go ahead and go to copy 2 and save. Go back to your first sheet and right click on the filter again, apply to worksheets. It's already on selected. Click on that. And now check copy. Oh, we can't check copy 2 yet. Man, I get too far ahead of myself. So we're going to cancel that, but we're going to have to come back here and do that after we get copy 2 built. So I'll have you do it on your own after we start putting things on copy 2. So we are going to put name in rows on the sheet. And we want the international reputation measure in columns. And we're going to change it from sum to max. Now you can go add that top 15 players by international reputation filter from the first sheet. Also add it to copy 2. So now we're going to go to show me, and we're going to choose packed bubbles for this one. And I'm going to collapse show me. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to the analytics tab, and I want to cluster these. So I'm going to grab cluster, drag it and drop it. And I think that what I'd like to do here for the clusters is let's get 4 clusters. And you can close the cluster box. Let's put this to entire view. And in the marks card, notice that clusters has been assigned to colors. That's why we have the legend on the right. I'm going to click on color and edit the colors. I'm going to do my drop down for the palette, and I'm going to select an orange palette. And I'm going to just assign the palette so I don't have to do them individually, and click OK. So now for each one, if I look at the tooltip, I have the cluster, the name, and the max international reputation. Let's click on tooltip on the marks card. And we're going to take out clusters. We're going to highlight name, heading, and field. And I'm going to make it 11 point, bold, and in my case, orange. And click OK. So now when I hover, it's a little bit better. And we need to just name this sheet now. And it's going to be top 15 players by, and I'm abbreviating international again. So top 15 players by international reputation. And that's the name of it. The other one we had dash interactive at the end. So we're good with this name. Let's go ahead and save our file again. And you can go back to the data pane on the left. So the previous few visualizations, we focused on the graphs and tooltips lesson in this module. We had been editing tooltips, throughout the course, but it's officially covered in this module. And now we're ready to start working with folders. So folders allow you to group similar or related fields together and have it organized on your data pane in folders. So what we want to do in the data pane, we want to select club, and I'm going to hold down shift and select club logo. And we're going to do the drop down arrow next to club or club logo. And notice folders is dimmed out, and that's because we don't have any folders right now. So we're going to hover over group by and choose folder. And so now we're going to select them again, and we're going to go to the drop down arrow, and now folders is available, and we're going to select create folder, and we're going to just call it club information and click OK. So now you'll notice at the top of your data pane you have that folder, and you can collapse it if you're not using those fields until you have a need to use them. Then you can expand it. We're going to create another folder, and it kind of cleans up your data pane as well, right? So we have all these abbreviated fields, CAM, CB, CDM. I have no idea what they reference other than there's some kind of stats for this sport. So we want to grab all of them, and there's several. So I'm going to click on CAM, hold my shift key and click on CM. And then I'm going to hold my control key and I'm going to click on LAM, LB, LCB, LCM, LDM, LF, LM, LS, LW, LWB. We have a few more. RAM, RB, RCB, RCM, and RDM. Let me just, scroll down a little bit more, and we have some more. So I'm going to hold control. I'm going to grab RF, RM, RS, RW, RWB, ST, and I think that's the last of them. So now we can right click on any of the selected ones. It's not liking the right click. We have to use the arrow on any of the selected ones. And this time we can hover over folders because we have a folder, so we don't have to do group by first. We can hover over folders and we can add it to an existing folder, or what we're going to choose is create folder. And I'm just going to call this folder stat information. And then I'm going to collapse it. So it puts your folders up at the top, and that way all of those fields are not showing in our major field list there. They're in the folder. So that gives you the ability to A, group information together in a folder, related information, and B, clean up your data field list. And we're going to go ahead and save our file. So before we get to our last topic, which is floating items in dashboards, we're going to create a few more vises here. So let's go to copy 3. And we're going to name the sheet Cristiano Ronaldo Stats. And so on this sheet, we're going to put the name field in filters. And we're going to choose select from list. I'm going to just search for Ronaldo. And let me get out of my search box first. Okay, so we're going to select none. And then I'm going to search. And then I can check Cristiano Ronaldo. And so down at the bottom, we just want to make sure it says selected one of the 15,000 values, and we'll click OK. Let's go ahead and put the name field in rows. And we're going to drag measure names to the filter shelf. Select none. And for this one, we're going to use the same 3 that we used before, but we're going to add another one. So we're going to check ball control and then go down to shot power. We're going to grab stamina and strength and click OK. And then we're going to drag measure names to rows. And we're going to grab our measure values and drag that to columns. So even though we filtered the measure names, let me go look at that filter again, edit the filter, and it selected everything. So we're going to select none there, ball control, shot power, stamina, and strength. And so in the measure values area under the marks card, we're going to change all of those to averages. Easy breezy. We're going to drag measure names to color on the marks card. And then I'm going to click on color and edit. And I'm going to choose the Lightning Sunrise palette. And I'll have it assign the palette for me. And click OK. Now we're going to edit the axis by right-clicking on it. And first, let's go down to title. And instead of value, we're going to change it to stats. And then we're going to uncheck the automatic box, and that makes the subtitle available. And we're going to type Cristiano Ronaldo for the subtitle. We don't have to change the range or anything, so we're done. I just want to point out in the bottom, if you make changes in here, at the bottom, you can always reset it back to the way it was before you made any changes. We're going to just go ahead and close that. And we can see our change on that axis. Now we're going to go over to our data pane. We're going to select height. Hold down your control key. We're going to grab nationality, position, and weight. And we're going to drag all of those onto tooltip in the marks card. And so notice it puts them in as attributes. That's what your ATTR is saying. We're going to use Control W to swap the rows and columns. And so we just flip-flopped everything. And we can actually delete the name from columns. Don't need it there. And last but not least, we're going to hide the title on this sheet. And you can go ahead and save your file. So we want to create a similar sheet or the same sheet, but we want it to be for Lionel Messi. So first things first, we're not going to need our 4th copy sheet, so I'm going to delete that. And then I'm going to go ahead and copy the Cristiano Ronaldo stat sheet. Now the thing is, we'll do this from data source view first, because I want to show you something. So in data source view, Lionel Messi's name is just the L, the initial L, Messi. And we want to change that. So what we're going to do is we're going to go to the drop down on name, and we're going to go to aliases. And the names in here are in weird order, and some of them have like question marks in the name. And so I'm going to scroll down a little bit more than halfway. And then I have to search him out here. Keep going down, because after you get through the alphabet, there's even more names that are going to show up, and he's going to be down there. So L Messi is what we're looking for. And there he is. So I'm going to just change his alias to Lionel Messi. And click OK. So now you can see he happens to be the first one in the data grid. You can see that alias change. Now we can go to the Cristiano Ronaldo Stats 2 sheet and name it Lionel Messi Stats. And so we're going to go up to the name filter and edit it. I am going to search for Messi and check his name. And then I'm going to go back to search and search for Ronaldo and uncheck Cristiano and click OK. So now we have everything in here for Lionel Messi, except on the left, if you look at the axis, it still has the subtitle of Cristiano. So we're just going to right click and edit the axis and change the subtitle to Lionel Messi. And we're good to go. And lastly, we're going to copy Lionel Messi stat sheet and just name it Stats, just plain stats. And we're going to go to the name filter and edit it. And let's choose none first, then choose all, then search for Messi, uncheck him, search for Ronaldo, and uncheck Cristiano. And then do OK. So this is for all players. And we need to edit the axis one more time. And this time we're just going to check automatic, which hides the subtitle. And we'll close that. Go ahead and save your file, and then we'll start creating our dashboards. And so now I am going to go to a new dashboard page. Go ahead and get your size together. And I'm going to do some dashboard formatting here. And the default shading, I want to go darker than what we used on the sheet. So I think the last one in the second column, or the last one in the first column might be good. The last gray one in the first column. I am going to change, let's see what else. The worksheet title, I am going to make it bold and white. And then I can close that pane. And what I want to do is I want to make a copy of the dashboard sheet, just so we don't have to keep doing the sizing and the format that we did. And I am going to drag a tiled horizontal container into the view. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to change it to floating. And I'm going to grab the image object and just drop that anywhere on the view for now. So we're going to go choose. We have an image file of Cristiano Ronaldo that we put in My Shapes. And actually, I'm going to go, you can actually grab a file like this from your file folder. So your FIFA folder has the file. You don't have to go to My Shapes or anything. So I'm going to just select it from my folder. And I'm not going to have a URL open when the image is clicked, and you'll see why in a moment. And we're going to just click OK. So I am going to move this image to the upper left corner. Now, at the bottom of your objects, go ahead and show your dashboard title. It didn't take the formatting I did, I guess because it's empty. So I'm going to just double click that. Well, actually cancel. Let's name this sheet, this dashboard sheet, Cristiano Ronaldo. And then I'm going to go edit the title. I'm going to select it. I am going to center it. I'm going to make it bold. And I think instead of white, I'm going to make it into an orange color and click OK. Now we're going to leave it on floating, and we're going to add a web page object. And I'm going to put this like in the upper right-hand corner of the container. And the URL, we're going to have to type it in. https://en for English, wikipedia.org. Then we have a /wiki, another /, and then Cristiano_Ronaldo. Now, once you have that typed in, do Control-A and copy it. Actually, we may have to come back and open it and copy it again. Go ahead and click OK. So now that whole Wikipedia page shows with all of his information. So what we're going to do here is the picture, the floating image, is in the upper left corner. I'm going to move that Wikipedia page over next to the picture, and then I'm going to expand its width to fill up the rest of the container, and to do the same with its height. And I may need to scroll down on my dashboard because I have more height to go at the bottom. And now, on the left side, under Sheets, we're going to grab the Cristiano Ronaldo stat sheet, drag that in on the left side, and resize it so it fills up the rest of that space on the bottom left of the container. Let me move it just a little bit. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to remove that measure names legend from the dashboard. So now I have his picture in the upper left. Underneath that, I have his stats. And on the right, I have his Wikipedia page. And guess what? We're going to copy this dashboard and paste it. And so what happens is, because we copied the dashboard using his stats visualization on it, it created another sheet with his stats on it with the number 2. And we'll get rid of that soon enough. So what I want to do first is go to the original Cristiano dashboard. And we're going to go to the drop-down arrow for his Wikipedia object and go to Edit URL. And now we're going to just do Control A, C to copy his URL. We can cancel that and go to the copy of his dashboard. And so what we're going to do in the upper left here is we're going to click on the image. We're going to go to its drop down arrow and choose Edit Image. And we're going to click on Choose, and we can grab the L Messy picture from our folder and click OK. Then we're going to click on the Wikipedia page, go to its drop down arrow, edit the URL, and it's already in it. We didn't even have to copy it. At the end, all we have to do is change the name to Lionel_Messi and click OK, and it will update to his Wikipedia page. And then on the left, and I noticed the stats chart needs to move down a little bit, we're going to remove that stats chart from the dashboard. And we're going to go and grab the Lionel Messi stats and drop them in there and resize it, move it and resize it, so on and so forth. So easy enough to replace things like images and URLs. I'm going to also get rid of that color legend for it. And I just want to scroll down to make sure that I size it all the way to the bottom on the left. So now we have to name this dashboard Lionel Messi Stats. Well, we can't do that. Oh, no, we're just naming it Lionel Messi. Forgot we used stats on his original sheets. So Lionel Messi. Now we can go to that Cristiano Ronaldo Stats 2 page. It's actually a sheet. And we can right click on its tab and delete it. And so now we have our two players' dashboards formatted exactly the same way. And they look pretty sweet. Go ahead and save your file. All right, let's go to our blank dashboard, make a copy of it, and then go back to the first blank one. And on this one, we want to make sure it's back on tiled. And we're going to show the dashboard title. And we're going to drag a horizontal container into the view and then drag the stat sheet into the container. And so we're going to hide the title on that stats graph. We can leave the measure names there for this one. And let's name this sheet, this dashboard, player stats. Yeah, just player stats or player statistics. And then I'm going to format that title a little bit. So I am going to select it, center it, make it bold, and of course, I am going to make it orange. And you can save your file again. So we have 3 more dashboards we're going to do. I'm going to go to the blank, make another copy. And on this one, we're going to put a horizontal tiled container on it. And we're going to use 2 different vises for this one. We're going to grab the top 15 players by international reputation bubble chart with clusters. And we want that on the left side of the dashboard. And actually, I'm going to do that a little bit differently. And then the top 15 players by international reputation interactive dashboard, we're going to drag onto the right side. On the right side, let's get rid of the clusters legend. And let's select the interactive visualization and go to entire view for that one. And so now the nationality color grid, select row heading and select column heading parameters are for that interactive dashboard. And so what I'm going to do is let's go ahead and show the dashboard title. Let's name the sheet. That'll be the easiest way to do it. And this is top 15 players by international, and I'm spelling it out here, reputation. And then of course I'm going to edit it, make it centered, bold, and whatever color you have been using or that you would want to use. And so here, because there's the interactive dashboard on the right, we could add text or something, make it floating and explain it, but we're not going to do that because we're actually going to throw these into a story, and we'll let the story caption explain how to use the interactive viz that's on this dashboard. We need to make one more copy of our blank dashboard sheet. And so the first copy after our top 15 players international dashboard, let's go ahead and name the first one overall strength, shot power, and ball control by body type. And then we'll put dash at the end. And the last blank one, go ahead and name it number of players per country map. So go to your overall strength shot power one, and we're just going to put it in a horizontal container. And that one is going to be our strength, shot power, and ball control by body type sheet that we're going to drag on there. We want to make sure we're showing the dashboard title. We can hide the sheet title, and then I'm just going to go up and format my dashboard title as usual. And now I'll let you set up the last dashboard on your own. It's just going to have that map on it. So go ahead and do that. Pause your video and do that. And so congratulations. Now we're done with our dashboards. And we're going to go ahead and kind of tie this stuff together in a little bit of a story. Let's go ahead and bring up a new story sheet. And we're just going to use our dashboards on here. So I'm going to drag the Cristiano Ronaldo dash on here. And then I'm going to go up and add a caption. And this is where my lack of knowledge for the sport may come in. So I apologize in advance to all of you football fans. Well, that's what they call it. We call it soccer here, I believe. But anyway, I'm going to just type Cristiano has become very famous in the football arena. You can explore his stats and also go to his Wikipedia page. And I'll put an exclamation point just because why not? Now, the one thing I forgot to do is change my story size, so I'm going to go ahead and do that now. And then I'm going to widen my caption there. And the other thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go up to Story menu and choose Format. And I'm going to give it a slightly darker shading than I did the dashboard. And so we have our one story point there. And let's go ahead and name the story one sheet. We'll name it FIFA story. And then we're going to close the format pane and we're going to add a blank story point. And for this one, we're going to drag the Lionel Messi dash. And for these captions, I'm just winging it as I go. So I'm going to say Lionel has been famous in football for a while. I don't know if it's been for a long time or not, but I'm just going to say a while. You can also explore his stats and go to his Wikipedia page. Now we're ready for a new blank story point. And we're going to put player statistics on here. And the caption's going to be, you can view statistics for all players in this visualization. It's measuring averages for ball control, shot power, stamina, and strength. And we want another blank story point. And we'll drag our top 15 players dash on here. And for this one in the caption, we want to give some direction on how to use the parameters. So I'm going to start it by saying, on the left, you have a bubble, I'll call it a bubble graph with clusters for the top 15 players by their international reputations. On the right, comma, there is an interactive graph where you can use the select row and select column heading parameters to change what the graph is showing. And that should be good for that one. All right, and we have another new blank story point. And this one we're going to give the overall strength dashboard on here. And the caption would be, this viz captures the overall strength, comma, shot power, and ball control by body type across all players. And one more blank story point here, and we'll grab our number of players per country map. And the caption would be, this density map is capturing the total number of players from each country. And there we have our story. So we are done with this module now that we've created our story, and we can go ahead and save this file, and you can go ahead and close it. So in module 7, using the FIFA data that I barely understand, I'm just not familiar with the sport, we covered parameter-based calculations in the first lesson. We created 2 parameters and 2 calculated fields that reference them. We moved on to lesson 2, where we focused on creating more graphs and editing the tooltips. In lesson 3, you learned how to organize your data pane by using folders. So you can group things in folders and have those folders collapse so your data pane is not as overwhelming, and so that you can easily access those related fields. And then we created a bunch of dashboards, and we used both floating and tiled items on them. In Module 8, we'll be using the Olympics 120-year data set to learn about top X items, rank graph, sorting through parameters, and how to show and hide filters on a dashboard. I've put a few images in the Olympics 120 years folder, and so we need to copy those to my shapes. And I have a bronze, a gold, and a silver medal. So I'm going to select those, and I'm going to drag them over into the My Shapes folder. And now I'm going to switch back over to Tableau. So we're going to use the text file, and I'm going to make my way to that appropriate folder. And we actually have 2 comma-separated Excel files there. We're going to double-click Athlete Events. And that brings in the other CSV as well. And then you'll notice in your data grid, it says update now or update automatically. We're going to choose update now, and then it will bring in the data. So now we're in data source view, and we're going to look over the data. So I'm going to use the metadata grid over here on the left. So we have ID fields, name, sex, age, height, so on, team. NOC is National Occupation Classification. You've got year, season, all of these different fields up to including the medal. And so we also have this NOC region CSV. Let's drag that into the view. And you can see that it automatically created the relationship on the related field NOC. And so this CSV only has the NOC code, the region, and notes. And we're going to use it for the region. So we are going to go ahead and double click and go to the physical layer. And we're going to drag the other CSV here so we can create that join. You may get an update now or automatically message. And so now I'm going to go ahead and close that physical layer. So if we scroll down through the fields, we'll see that we have those 3 fields that came out from the secondary file. And we can go ahead and hide the knock field from the other CSV, as well as its notes field. And while we're at it, let's go ahead and rename the region field so it doesn't have knockregions.csv in parentheses at the end. Just want to get rid of that whole thing. And I'm going to add an S to it so it actually says regions, plural. The other thing I like to do is use a filter, well, a filter screen to see the range of data that we have in the data set. So this data set we're using, it has data for 100 years. And I just go up to filters and add. And I'm going to do a filter on year. And we can see it goes from 1896 to 2016. We're going to just cancel out of there, which means we have a lot of data. So let's go ahead and format this sheet. And this time, we're not going to make a copy of it. There's another way that you can get the formatting on a new sheet. And I've been doing it this whole course up until now, what I call the old school way. It's just the way that I'm used to doing it. But there is a more efficient way, and you're going to learn about it now. So I'm going to go ahead and go to Format, and then I'm going to go to Shading. And I'm going to use my same shading I used before. That's the last gray one in the second column for the sheet. And then while I'm here, I'm going to go down to row banding and choose none for the pane and the header. And I'm going to go to the font icon, and I'm going to change the worksheet font to 10 point. And I'm going to make it bold. And of course, I'm going to use orange. And I'll do the title separately. So I'm going to go ahead and close Format Font. And we can go up to the Format menu again. And at the bottom, Copy Formatting, or toward the bottom. Go ahead and bring up a new sheet. And you can go back to Format and paste the formatting. And so that is more efficient than the way I've had you do it so far. I'm going to go back to sheet 1. Let's name the sheet Games Medal Count by Athlete. I'm using the ampersand for and. Events for top 10 teams. Long but accurate. So if we look in our data pane, we can go ahead and collapse knock region CSV because our regions file is already under our athlete events. So we don't need to have that. We can kind of treat it like a folder. We don't need anything in it, so we might as well collapse it. So let's go ahead and put medal on the filter shelf. And you see there's an NA in there. And we probably don't want that in our data for any of the visualizations that we're going to use this field in. So instead of doing a sheet level filter, I'm going to cancel out of here, go back to data source, and add the filter here so it will be universal through the workbook. And I'm going to just exclude NA. And now go back to the sheet. We want to drag games to the filter shelf. And we're going to keep all of them and click OK. And then we would like to show that filter. And we're going to make it a single value drop down. We're also going to do a filter on team. And we're going to go to the top tab by field. We're going to leave it on the default of 10. But for the field, we want metal. And we're going to leave it on count. Top 10 teams by metal count. And we're going to do OK. So now we're going to put regions in columns. And we want name, event, and team in rows. And I'm going to just rearrange them so they're name, event, and team. Let's drag metal to tooltip, and it changes it to an attribute. So we're going to right click on it. We're going to change it to a measure using the count function. We're also going to change the type of mark to shape and then drag metal onto shape. And so now we have our legend on the right, the bronze, the gold, and the silver, but we have icons for those that we're going to use. So I am going to click on shape, do the drop down on the right and go to my shapes. And for bronze, I'm going to select the bronze metal, do the same for gold and for silver. And then OK. Let's add column grand totals. So we'll see the grand totals by the region. And we're going to do that from the analytics pane. I'm going to just drag totals into the view and drop it on column grand. And now if I scroll to the bottom, because we're using shapes, you're seeing the shapes. So this is saying the first one is that Australia got 2 gold medals in the 1896 Summer Olympics. If we go to our games filter, I'm going to go a little bit more current. I'll go to like, let's see what we have. I'm going to do the 2016 Summer Olympics. And so when I scroll to the bottom, I'll see that Australia got bronze, gold, and silver medals. So they did a lot better than they did in 1896. Let's fit this to the entire view. And that does not look good. So I'm going to change it back to standard. And so what we're going to do now is modify the title. We want to make it dynamic. So when you go in there, we're going to, before sheet name, we're going to go to insert and we're going to choose games, type a space and the word games and another space. So you have that word games as like a separator. And then I'm going to select everything and I'm going to make it bold and my color. So because we use the word game, we don't need the word games at the beginning of our sheet tab. So I'm going to just go and delete it there. because we used it in the title, we don't have to have it there on the sheet tab. So as I switch to different games, I can see that the title dynamically changes. Now this would be a good time to save our file, and let's call it Olympics. Let's go ahead and switch back to our data pane and go to our already formatted sheet 2. Earlier in the course, we used the varieties of the rank function in a text table, and we did them all in ascending and descending order. And that was so we could compare what the different rank functions do compared to one another. And so now we're going to create a rank graph, but we're going to do it using a table calculation instead of those rank functions that we used earlier. So the first thing we're going to do here, let's select the games and the team fields and drag them into rows. And then let's go back to our first sheet. And you know how to do this. We want to use the games filter on our second sheet. So go ahead and go through that process so we don't have to recreate the wheel, and then return to sheet 2. On sheet 2, we do want to go ahead and show that filter, and we'd like it to be a single value drop down. And we're going to name this sheet Medal Rank by Team. Now we're going to drag event to the mark shelf, and we want to change it into a measure using count distinct. We're going to do the drop down arrow next to it, and we're going to add a table calculation. For our calculation type, we're going to do the drop down and select rank. We're going to change it to ascending, so we have the choice to have it ascending or descending. If you choose ascending, you can change it from the visualization, so it's no problem. Go ahead and choose ascending, and I'll show you how to do that. And then underneath that, we have competition. Do the drop down there. So they're referenced a little bit differently on this list. And the list does not include the rank percentile variation of the function. So competition is really rank, and then modified competition is really rank modified on this list. And so what we're going to select is modified competition. And we want to do this across the team dimension. So we're going to click on specific dimension and uncheck games. And now we're going to close it. And then we're going to drag that table calculation off of the mark shelf to the columns shelf. And so we said ascending, rank ascending, that optional argument. And what we can do is we're going to click right above or hover right above the first bar, and you'll be able to sort it if you right click on it in descending order. So if we hover over the tooltip, we'll see the games, the team, and their ranking, which is number 25. For these Olympics. Let's click on color, and I'm going to change the bars to my favorite. You should be doing whatever color you're comfortable using with your color schemes. And then I say, wow, I personally like the look of that, but it might make more sense to have the teams in color. So I am going to drag team to color on the marks card. And I will live with these colors instead of fiddling with them, I promise. Let's go ahead and edit our title. And before the title, or I should say, it is the title, the sheet name placeholder, we're going to go to Insert and choose Games, and then a space, and we're going to type the word Games and another space. And then I'm going to select it, of course, and make it bold and in color. So I'm all about that dynamic filter, that dynamic field that you put so that every time you change to a different set of games, it updates to let you know what you're looking at. All right, let's go ahead and save this file. We've used parameters a few times throughout this course so that end users have the opportunity to interact with the visualizations and change the dimensions that they're seeing in them. Another use of parameters is to sort. And this is particularly useful like when you have side-by-side bar charts. If you sort one, it typically sorts the other, and maybe you'd like to sort them independently, and that's where sorting through parameters comes in. So on this sheet, we're going to drag, let's see what field. So we're going to drag games and sports, or sport, to rows. And then we're going to go to the first sheet because it has filters. It's 2 filters we want on that sheet. So I'm going to go ahead. You can modify the games filter and apply it to that sheet. And then apply the team filter to just that sheet, the new sheet. And that's the top 10 teams by medal count filter. This time for the games filter, we want to show it and we want to make it a multiple values drop down. And go ahead and save your file. So in our last lesson, and we can do it here now, we dragged event to the marks card, and then we converted it to a measure. Now notice the 4 functions on that list, only min, max, count, and count distinct, right? So we do want a count of events. However, we're going to do it in a calculated field, because we also want to get a measure that is the average age. And we can't drag age to the marks card and do that because average is not on those lists of 4 functions there for measure. So I believe in consistency. Now, the other benefit is that if you do it the way we do by dragging it to the marks card, it's only available for that particular sheet. If you create a calculated field, it's available for any sheet in your workbook. So I'm going to delete measure off of the mark shelf, and we're going to go ahead and create a quick calculated field, and we're going to call it event count. And we're just going to do, so we want a count of events. So we're going to just do the count function, which is one of those 4 functions in the marks card. Keep that in the back of your mind, and you'll see why in a moment. And then we're going to just grab the event field. And our calculation is valid, and we're going to click OK. Now we're going to do another calculated field. And this one, we're going to name AVG for average and then age. And we're going to go ahead and grab the AVG function, the average function. Now this is where it gets a little tricky. We're using a function that's not one of the 4 functions we saw on the marks card. And because age is a text field, you can see from the ABC, so is event, but for event, we use the function that's on the marks card. We have to use the float function in order for this to work. So we're going to type float, and then we're going to grab age. So if it's not minimum, maximum, count, or count distinct with a text field that you're trying to aggregate, you're going to have to use the float function as a nested function. Go ahead and click OK. So I had to accidentally move my games and sports to columns, and I moved it back to rows. And now what we're going to do is we're going to grab our event count and average age calculated fields in that order and drag them to columns. And so now we're going to go to Show Me, and I'm going to choose that side-by-side bar. And actually, I'm going to do Control Z and leave it the way it was. So what happened there, it was already a side-by-side bar, and when I clicked on it, it took that away. So I just undid that. And I'm going to collapse Show Me. So now we are ready to create our parameter. So we know how to get that started. And we are going to name this parameter sort by. We want it to have a string data type. And we're going to have it pull from a list. And we're going to have 2 values on the list. The first one is event count. And the second is your AVG age. And we're going to click OK. And go ahead and show your parameter. Might be a good time for us to name the sheet. So I'm going to just do event count / AVG age. And I'm going to save. So we still have to create the calculated field that's going to reference our parameter. So let's get that done. And we're going to be using our case statement for this one. And I'm going to name it sort by field. And we're going to grab case and the name of our parameter, sort by, enter, grab your when statement, single quote, event count, grab your then statement, and grab the event count field, the measure. And then when we do our next when then, they're called when then lines, it's going to be when AVG age, then you're going to grab the average age measure. And we're going to press enter, and then we need our end statement. And we're going to click OK. So if you notice the sort icon on the sport pill in the row shelf, we're going to right click on sport, and we're going to click on sort. And so it's saying sort by nested. we're going to choose the drop down there and we're going to select field. And we're going to put it in descending order. And the field name is going to be our sort by field, our calculated field. And so now we can close that sort dialog. Let's go ahead and edit our title. We're going to go to Insert and add Games before the sheet name. So it'll say like 1986 Olympics, event count, average age. And then of course, we're going to do our formatting on this. And click OK. Let's go ahead and save again. And now we're ready to test this parameter, right? So if I go to sort by and I choose average age, the average age has sorted. And if I go to sort by again and I choose event count, the event count has sorted. I'm going to right click on the sport pill again and go back to sort. And if you wanted to, you could change it to ascending order. It's in descending order at this point. And we can go ahead and save. So remember, we set this up to be a multiple values filter. So I'm going to change my games. I'm going to select two. I'm going to select the 1994 Winter Games and the 1998 Winter Games. And so I have each set of games in a different set of rows here. And I can collapse my games filter so I can see the rest of what's over there. And then I can use my parameter. So it does it regardless of how many years of values I'm including in this viz. And so now we are ready to create some dashboards. So I'm going to get the first one up. Go ahead and, as usual, get your sizing and formatting done. So if you try to paste your formatting here, it wouldn't work because you can't do it from a sheet to a dashboard sheet. But now that you have your dashboard formatted, you could go to Format and you could not copy the formatting from here. So the only thing, it shows format that you can paste, but it wouldn't let you paste from the sheet here. So that's kind of how that works. What I'm going to do here, the topic now is showing and hiding filters on the dashboard. And you kind of already know how to do that, but we're going to create our dashboards anyway and make sure we integrate it. So we don't have very many sheets. We can go ahead and I'm going to have you do this and then I'll review what I do on mine with you. So we have 3 sheets and we're going to put each one on its own dashboard in a container. And so go ahead and pause the video and do that. So here I'm ready for show and tell. On my first dashboard, I created a web page object and it's just going to the Olympics web page. And I want you to notice on this, since we did the global filter for games, notice on this sheet, it is set to multiple values. When we made it a multiple values filter on the third sheet, it changed it for every sheet that it's on. And so I'll show you my second dashboard here. Just everything that was on the sheet, plus a title. And then my third one, I actually added a floating text object describing how to use the sort by drop down. And so this is the one that I want multiple values on, but the other two, we just want it to be single value. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back to the very first sheet, and I'm going to modify that filter, and I'm going to uncheck the last sheet. Then I'm going to go back to the last sheet, and the filter's gone. So I'm going to have to create that filter separately here. So I'm going to put games back on the filter shelf, and I'm going to use all. Click OK. And then I'm going to show it, and I'm going to make it a multiple value drop down. And then I'm going to go back to the first sheet and see it's changed all of them. So on the first sheet, make it a single value drop down. Oh no, that is a single value, sorry. It did what it was supposed to do, but there are multiple values selected because of the last selection. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do the drop down on the first sheet. And I know what I can do. I want to clear the filter. So click to show. Well, no, that's not what I want to do. Yes, it is, because it's a single value drop down and now it's showing all. So that fixed it on that sheet. And it fixed it on the second sheet since it's global with that one. And the third sheet is independent, so it's still multiple value drop down. And there I want to just uncheck all, and I think I'll go to 1976 summer and winter for that one. So now my dashboards have the right filtering on them as well. So something to just keep in mind in the back of your head. I hope you had fun creating your dashboards, and we can now save this file and deal with our last topic, which is hiding and showing filters on dashboards. So I'm on the third dashboard, and I'm going to go to my games filter and select it. And then I'm going to go to its drop down arrow. And I am going to click on Add Show Hide button. So now when I click away from it, here's this X here, right? It says if I hover over the X, it says Alt click to hide. So I Alt click to hide, click away from it, and now I have the three lines. And when I hover over those, it says Show Games and Alt click to show. So you can do that for your filters. And I'm going to go to the first dashboard and do that to my filter on that dashboard. So I can add that Show Hide button on that one. And even though that's a global filter on the second dashboard, this is an independent thing, so I have to do it there as well. So just more functionality on your dashboards. So we can go ahead and save, and we are going to close this file. So for our 8th module, we started with top X items, which we've been using throughout the course, but we created another filter using top 10 teams by the number of medals they've had, the medal count. We moved into lesson 2, where we used a rank graph, and instead of using the rank functions like we did earlier in the course, we created a table calculation, and we went over the differences in the names of the different variations of rank in the table calculation compared to the actual rank function. And we created that graph. You learned how to use parameters as sorting mechanisms in the third lesson. And we ended by creating a bunch of dashboards or a few dashboards and learning how to show and hide the filters on a dashboard. I'd like to thank everyone for viewing this course. Hopefully you've learned some good tips and techniques to use in Tableau. So by way of review, I'm going to just go over what we've covered module by module in here. Our 7th module, I was out of my depth because I don't know anything about the sport, but we used FIFA 19 player rank information. And in this module, you learned about parameter-based calculations, graphs and tooltips, how to arrange your data into folders, and we focused a bit on floating items in dashboards. In Module 8, we used 100 years of Olympics data, and you learned specifically how to filter for top X items. We used a rank graph, which we used a table calculation for as opposed to the rank functions we used earlier. You learned how to sort by using parameters and show and hide filters on a dashboard.